Good afternoon. I'm Tim Boaz. I'm the president of the USF Tampa Faculty Senate, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to our event this afternoon, the fall address of the Provost to the faculty of the University of South Florida. Before we begin, as has become our custom at this event, I would like to ask you to join me in a moment of silence in remembrance of our colleagues and other members of the USF family, students, staff, and community partners who passed away this last year. Thank you. Wow, what a year it's been, huh? Thank you. I told you I'd keep it brief. So much has happened at USF this last year. Judy Genshaft retired as our president after 19 years, and the USF Board of Trustees conducted a wildly successful search for a replacement in hiring Dr. Steve Corral as the new president of USF. There was also a mind-spinning long list of accomplishments and accolades for the university over this last year. I promised the provost I'd keep this short, so I'm not going to try and enumerate those. Besides, he'll do a much better job than I at doing that. But there are two things that I want to draw your attention to because they reflect on achievements of individual faculty of our university that have really contributed to our stature as a university. And the first of these is that USF was, again, for the second time in 3 years, #1 in the nation in the production of Fulbright scholars. And I want to give a shout out to Darlene DeMarie from the College of Education, who is our faculty advisor for the Fulbright program. We also had 7 members of our faculty who were elected to membership in national academies this year. These awards acknowledge the consistent high-level performance of these faculty at our university, and it brings stature to all of us collectively that they have won these very highly deserved awards. It's a little-known fact that this meeting is actually one that's mandated by the Constitution of the USF Tampa Faculty Senate as a meeting of the general faculty of the university. And so I want to take just a minute or two to talk a little bit about what the Senate did this past year and what we're going to be up to next year. In addition to the usual ongoing work of the Senate in terms of our responsibilities for the academic programs of the university and providing advice to the administration on the conduct of these, we of course also were heavily involved in the process of consolidation of our 3 separately accredited institutions into one consolidated university. And for the faculty and faculty senate, this work really focused on 3 main areas. One of those was faculty governance structure, one was tenure and promotion guidelines, and the third was the alignment of the academic curriculum across campuses. All of this work was carried out by work groups with representatives from all 3 campuses, and so while I'm primarily got my responsibilities here in Tampa and want to thank the faculty here for their participation, I also want to thank my colleagues at the other 2 campuses for their considerable work in this regard. With regard to faculty governance structures, we've agreed in principle to have a unified faculty senate for the entire university that is based mostly on the model that we use here in Tampa. And we are currently in the process of actually spelling out a constitution and bylaws for this group, and we've made considerable progress in that regard. This next year, we still have some challenging issues to resolve, especially regarding apportionment and representation of faculty from the regional campuses throughout the faculty governance structure. The second area, tenure and promotion guidelines. I want to give a big thanks to Greg Teague, former USF Tampa Faculty Senate President, former System Faculty Council President, and former USF trustee, who helped shepherd this revision to the tenure and promotion guidelines through the arduous process of approval. We now have a revised set of tenure and promotion guidelines in place, ready to go on July 1, 2020, that will be used for the entire consolidated university. So that part's put to bed. What we have yet to do over this next year, really not under the purview of the Faculty Senate, but the responsibility of the individual academic units to go through and review and revise as appropriate their specific unit criteria for evaluation under tenure and promotion guidelines. The third area that we worked on was the alignment of the curriculum. And there are too many people to acknowledge to name anybody individually. There were a lot of faculty from all three campuses that stepped up to go through the process of reviewing all the programs, especially those that span across campuses. Our accrediting body, the SAC-COC, requires that we have single programs. That is, a program in psychology has to be the same program on all three campuses. And after a number of years of independence, our programs sort of diverged, so we had to get those all back in alignment and have those ready to go for us to submit our changed prospectus to the SAC-COC in October. All that work had to be done between January and June, so there was a lot of time pressure and a lot of work, and I want to thank all those who participated in that process. From that, we developed a proposed set of a grid, I guess you might say, of colleges and programs and where they would be offered on which campuses. There's still work to be done on this in terms of deciding on assignment of faculty and figuring out where programs are getting honed, and that's going to be a difficult process. But we're confident that we can work through this over this coming year and have that, or not year, but in the next few months, and have that ready to go with our SAC's accreditation application. While I'm talking about consolidation, I want to take this opportunity while I have the bully pulpit for a few minutes. My dad was a Presbyterian minister, so this is in my genes. I want to encourage in the strongest possible terms my colleagues on the Tampa campus to welcome their new colleagues from the regional campuses. I've had the good fortune over the last couple of years to work on the System Faculty Council fairly closely with faculty from both Sarasota and St. Petersburg. And I've really enjoyed this process. I've enjoyed getting to know my colleagues on those campuses. I respect them. I recognize that they're hardworking faculty who are dedicated to their work and to their discipline and to the success of this university. So I think it's very important for us to ensure that they're welcomed in any interactions they have with us. To a certain degree, I think you would have to think that we're kind of the big boys on the block, and so it's incumbent on us to make sure that this works. And that's not just a moral or ethical sort of issue, but really it's in our best interest to make sure that this works. This university will only be successful to the extent that our faculty, who do the work for which we're acknowledged, are as widely as possible able to be as successful as they can. I think I've already gone past the amount of time that I've had allotted, but I do have one more thing that I want to say, and that is to give a big shout out to the Provost for rolling out 3 initiatives this year that I think will be critically successful to the continued success of this university. The first of these is to improve the success of graduate and professional students on our campus. The second is to build a digital ecosystem on our campus. I think many of us would agree we have some catching up to do in this regard. And improving our technology infrastructure is going to be critical to reduce the geographic barriers that we experience between our campuses. And the third area, which is most near and dear to my heart, is a work group on improving faculty success at the University of South Florida. The faculty do the work of the university, and for us to be successful, our faculty collectively have to be successful. I think the timing of this is tremendous in terms of some of the changing roles that faculty will be faced in consolidation, but this is something that's been needed for some time, and I look forward to it being very successful and helping to propel the University of South Florida on a continued trajectory that we've become used to. So without further ado, I present the Provost and Executive Vice President of the University of South Florida, Dr. Ralph Wilcox.
Thank you for your kind introduction, Dr. Boaz, and for your valued leadership over the years as President of the USF Tampa Faculty Senate. To my faculty colleagues across USF, on all of our campuses, including those 152 new members of the faculty at USF Tampa, welcome to a new fall semester. In so many ways, you, of course, are key to our university's future. Faculty governance has been an essential ingredient in USF's ascent to becoming a global research university. And I'll be the first to point out that it has been the Senate's vision and thoughtful deliberation, as well as university leadership's constructive partnership with our faculty, that has proven so vital in advancing USF's mission. I thank those of you who serve on our faculty senates and the USF System Faculty Council, and I encourage others to actively engage with and participate in university governance. Before I begin my remarks, and as has become customary, I want to take a moment to introduce members of the USF leadership team who are in attendance this afternoon. I ask that each of you please stand to be recognized and that the audience holds its applause until all of you have been introduced. Starting with the deans, Dean Charles Adams, the Genshaft Honors College. Dean Paul Atchley, Undergraduate Studies. Dean Todd Chavez, USF Libraries. Dean Eric Eisenberg, College of Arts and Sciences. Dean Rob Knopel, College of Education. Dean Moez Lamayan, Muma College of Business. Dean James Moy, College of the Arts. Dean Govind Pariel, the Patel College of Global Sustainability. Dean Julie Sorovich, College of Behavioral and Community Sciences. Dean Dwayne Smith, Office of Graduate Studies and Senior Vice Provost for Faculty Affairs. Dean Kevin Sneed, the Tanager College of Pharmacy. Terry Chisholm, Vice Provost for Planning, Performance and Accountability. Jim Gary, Vice Provost for Human Resources and Space Planning. Pritish Mukherjee, Vice Provost for Strategic Talent Recruitment, University Reputation and Impact. Brett Kemke, Regional Vice Chancellor for Academic and Student Affairs, Sarasota Manatee Campus. Cindy DeLuca, Associate Vice President for Innovative Education. Peter Styling, Assistant Vice Provost for Strategic Initiatives. Gerard Solis, General Counsel. Steve Prevost, USF Ombudsman. Mark Walsh, Assistant Vice President for Government Relations. Nick Sededicato, Associate Vice President for Resource Management and Analysis. Karen Holbrook, Regional Chancellor, Sarasota Manatee Campus. Roger Brindley, Vice President for USF World. Paul Dosal, Vice President for Student Success. Sydney Fernandez, Vice President for Information Technology. Michael Kelly, Vice President for Athletics. Martin Tadlock, Regional Chancellor, St. Petersburg Campus. Nick Travinovich, Vice President for Business and Finance. and Chief Financial Officer. Calvin Williams, Vice President for Administrative Services. David Lechner, Senior Vice President for Business and Financial Strategy. Joel Momberg, Senior Vice President for Advancement. Paul Sandberg, Senior Vice President for Research, Innovation, and Knowledge Enterprise. Brittany Des, Trustee and Student Body President, Tampa Campus. Brittany, where are you? I knew you. And of course, Deanna Michael, Trustee and President of the USF System Faculty Council. Thank you. Collectively, this team represents just an amazingly talented group of colleagues that I work with and learn from on a daily basis. And then, of course, there is my boss. Dr. Steve Corral comes to us from Southern Methodist University, where he served as provost, following stops at Rice University, the University of California, Davis, and the University College London. He earned degrees from Baylor University, the London School of Economics, and a PhD in organizational behavior from Cornell. He is an accomplished and widely published scholar. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to the 7th President of the University of South Florida, Dr. Steve Corral.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Great to see you. It's really fantastic to be here with you today and be with Provost Wilcox and Professor Boaz and all of our faculty here. As I've often said, the faculty are the lifeblood of the university, and I truly mean that. You all are the key elements in our success, our academic success, scholarship, creative activity, instruction. So it's just great to be with you, and thank you so much for coming today. I've now been here for a grand total of about 2 months, so just listening and learning as much as I can, and it's really been a great experience so far. My wife and I have been warmly welcomed by the USF community here on the Tampa campus, in St. Petersburg, in Sarasota, Manatee, and also in the broader Tampa Bay region. So we've really just felt so grateful and thankful to now be new members of this community. And I do want to just take a moment now to introduce my wife, Dr. Cheyenne Corral, if she would just stand. Cheyenne and I were PhD students together at Cornell. So it was a time, as all of you know, time of challenges as graduate students, pretty much abject poverty, working 80 hours a week, but loving every minute of it. And so we had a great experience at Cornell together. And we decided it must be true love, because we got together before either one of us had any money or any stature, even career prospects. We were just hoping maybe the other one had some career prospects. But it's turned out pretty well. So it's been a great partnership with her over now 28 years. So we're both delighted to be here. I want to thank Professor Boaz for his comments about consolidation and the tone of his comments about collaboration and welcoming colleagues from different locations and creating permeable boundaries across these geographical locations. And so this, I'm convinced, is the right strategic direction for the University of South Florida, and is going to make us a stronger university and is going to position us to really achieve our aspirations. So We've been doing this work in collaboration with many of us in the community. Regional Chancellor Karen Holbrook, Regional Chancellor Martin Tadlock have both been great partners in this process. And so we've been very fortunate. We're off on a great start. And thank you to the faculty for doing all this extraordinary work, really Herculean effort that you all have delivered in terms of considering promotion and tenure issues, curricular issues, and so on. So it's really been an amazing journey for me to watch and now be a part of, to see what you all have accomplished in a very short period of time. So as many of you have heard me say, the University of South Florida is on a steeper trajectory than any university in the country. So if we go back to 2013 and we look at U.S. News and World Report rankings, we've jumped up more spots there than any other university in the country. And so it's really extraordinary, this trajectory that we're on. But as I've said before, what is even more amazing is the rate at which we are improving. And so not only are we climbing up, but it's the speed that we have as a university that is so inspiring and compelling to me. And I find USF to be a very courageous university, one that is not afraid of having audacious goals and aspirations, and I just love being part of that and being part of your community. Again, I just want to reemphasize how important our faculty colleagues are, and I want to thank all of you for all the great work that you do every day in your research, your scholarship, your creative activity, your teaching, your service to the community. And so I'm deeply grateful for everything that you do every day to help this university move forward. And in a few minutes, our Provost, Ralph Wilcox, will share his thoughts and his vision for how we'll continue this momentum, and I look very much forward to his remarks. As you know, I've decided to continue Ralph in his position as Provost. I have great confidence in him. He's done a terrific job in serving in this leadership role for many, many years. During my transition, he was absolutely wonderful in welcoming me and being a great colleague and partner, so I'm glad to and delighted to renew him for his work as our Chief Academic Officer. So I want to thank you so much again for giving me a chance to visit with you today. And lastly, Cheyenne and I are eager to get to know all of you, and we hope that you will look forward to getting to know us. I hope you've had a chance to read the profiles of us in the USF magazine. I was initially approached and said, well, we're going to write a profile of you and your wife for the magazine. I said, no. You've got to write a separate profile for her because she's far more interesting than I am. So there's now 2 profiles in the magazine. And we've also prepared a brief video. It's about 2.5, 3 minutes long about our backgrounds. And so as a way to share a little bit about our lives and our trajectory, we will share that video with you now. Thank you.
I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, and had 2 loving parents, lived in a suburban area, and I went to a public high school and played a lot of sports, football, basketball, baseball, ran track. Both of my parents were the first to go to college in their families, so there was a lot of emphasis on education and being well-behaved in school. I started out at a large public university. At that time, I was majoring in architecture. So I was doing a lot of graphic and visual arts classes and history of architecture. As I advanced in my education in graduate school, I got very interested in the psychology of organizations, the psychology of the workplace. So now I still have this impulse to build things. We met in graduate school at Cornell University. We were both doctoral students in the same department. During the summer, she was working in the library. I would go and talk to her.
And I was wondering when he's going to ask me out. In the end, 2.5 weeks, I said, do you want to have a lunch together? He said, yeah, sure.
I thought she was really fascinating and intriguing.
We are in the same field, we speak the same language.
And we're both committed to personal, intellectual career growth, and we find a way to support each other in that journey. I thought I would learn a lot from her and learn a lot from her experiences, and I thought that that would sustain us. And it has sustained us for 28 years. We love Lifsey House. We think it's beautiful. It's got a great potential to be a hub of intellectual activity, both for the university as well as for the Tampa Bay region.
I'm excited because I think USF is international, and I like to be in university setting with young people, and I do believe that university education changed people's life. It definitely changed my life.
As a public university, we're always committed and will remain committed to student access. What I hope to leave with the USF community at the end of my career here is that we have become an even more excellent university and even more visible in the academic community, but also in the business community and with government policymakers. And so that's the direction I'm trying to take us, is really elevate our visibility for a commitment to excellence in all aspects of the university.
Thank you to the Doctors Corral. Might I take a moment to remind everyone that we will celebrate President Corral's official inauguration on Thursday, November 14th. To the faculty, I ask that you please consider building in some flexibility to your class schedules and syllabi for that afternoon to allow fullest participation by the USF community. In last year's address, I spoke of the dawning of a new era at USF in anticipation of a new president, our journey beyond preeminence, and consolidation of our three separately accredited institutions into one university geographically distributed. I want to commend the broader USF community for not losing discipline and focus, which would have been oh so very easy. Because it's a Friday afternoon, some of you may be hoping that my list of accomplishments this year might be shorter than in the past. Yet, this is USF, and so it's not so. In fact, 2018-19 was arguably the best year in the history of USF, so please get comfortable. First, we strengthened our position as a preeminent state research university with year-over-year improvements in 9 of 12 metrics, maintaining our performance in 2 others and slipping in just 1 as we witnessed a decline in doctoral degrees awarded from 721 to 702, even though we have since rebounded. The really exciting news is that we have now exceeded the benchmark for the final metric of endowment. At $514 million. Joel, thank you very, very much. And so we fully expect to have met all 12 measures of preeminence in the coming year. And you can be proud of the fact that once again, USF landed among the top 3 Florida universities in performance-based funding. The consistency that you have shown means that we are one of just 2 universities to score on the excellence scale for all 10 metrics. While we scored a maximum of 10 points for excellence in 6 of the PBF metrics, 9 points in 1, that is, the percentage of Pell Grant recipients, 8 points in 2, jobs and salaries, and 7 points in academic progress rate, there remains room for improvement, and we must double down on jobs and earnings and retaining more freshmen in good academic standing. More about that soon. Even though we are understandably disappointed that the legislature elected not to fund preeminence or PBF this year, we should be reminded that the state has invested $265 million in new funding for performance-based funding since 2014, of which $36.5 million, or 14%, has been earned by the USF system. Interestingly, over the past 4 years, we've averaged 88.5 points out of 100 annually, second in the state, and well ahead of the average of 77.5 points across the 11 institutions. We'll be working with you all in the coming months to ensure that we continue to show improvement, even as the state is contemplating future changes for performance-based funding. Because it's always affirming to reflect on how we've arrived at this point, I'd like to take some time to share with you something of our collective performance trajectory in PBF, preeminence, US News and World Report, together with our progress toward AAU membership eligibility, the relationship of which we have represented through a performance crosswalk. First, student success includes the quality and diversity of our undergraduate and graduate students, measured in part through the average grade point average and SAT scores of our incoming fall freshman class. We expect to see this profile increase across all campuses starting next week, and we know that USF's Genschaft Honors College is readying for its largest intake ever, including 33 new National Merit Scholars, 60 high school valedictorians, and 45 salutatorians enrolling at USF for the first time this summer and fall. Of course, we also strive to attract the best and brightest graduate and professional students to USF. Here, the Morsani College of Medicine is leading the way with the highest ever average MCAT score recorded in 2019, while emphasizing both demographic and geographical diversity as new students come to USF to pursue their MD degree from a veritable who's who of institutions, including Brown, Cornell, Georgia Tech, Harvard, Johns Hopkins, UC Berkeley, UC Davis, UCLA, UC San Diego, Michigan, Chapel Hill, and Washington University in St. Louis. USF is proud of being the most diverse of Florida's preeminent research institutions, as defined by race and ethnicity, national origin, and socioeconomic status. Our students continue to tell us that USF's authentic commitment to diversity remains a major attraction to studying here and a significant attribute to their future success. However, given the sizable population of students who are first in their family to attend college and come to us from limited economic backgrounds, it means that we must keep a watchful eye on providing an affordable pathway to graduation. And you haven't disappointed, as we have halved the average net cost for a baccalaureate degree over the past 4 years. As you might imagine, much of these cost savings result from the remarkable story of undergraduate student success and the quality of the undergraduate experience at USF. Our freshman retention and academic progress rates continue to climb, as do our 4-year and 6-year FTIC graduation rates. It was most pleasing to see, based upon a study conducted at the University of Utah, that USF leads the nation's research universities in gains in 6-year graduation rates over the past decade. And we must not lose sight of our transfer students, where similar upward trends are seen for our 2-year and 4-year graduation rates, all as the percentage of baccalaureate students graduating without excess hours continues to climb. USF leads the state in the percentage of bachelor's degrees awarded in high-demand areas of strategic emphasis, and is runner-up for the percentage of bachelor's graduates who are employed and/or continuing their education just 1 year after graduation. The success of graduate and professional students, as I said earlier, is equally important to us, as once again we lead the state in the percentage of graduate degrees earned in areas of strategic emphasis, while the number of doctoral degrees conferred, in spite of one dip, is continuing to grow. And we demonstrate a general improvement in the first-time pass rates for professional licensure examinations. Raising the bar for graduate and professional student success will be important to the university in the years ahead.
I'm Dr. Sigrid Soto. I just earned my PhD in Communication Sciences and Disorders. After my undergrad, I did my master's in speech-language pathology. I began working as a clinical speech-language pathologist. I was driving across different neighborhoods within one day and seeing the big disparities in children's educations. One neighborhood had just a beautiful, high-quality preschool education where kids were learning Spanish and Chinese, and it was just beautiful. And then within a few blocks, I went to my old neighborhood and I saw the preschoolers there, and the preschool setting in itself wasn't up to par. That same day after I saw that, I cried. I called my old mentor and I said, I need to do something about these kids. There's injustices that are placed upon them that limit their educational access. I know that I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing this for kids and families that need it. I want kids to read, and it is my mission in life to help make sure that that's equitable for all kids, not just kids on the right side of the tracks. Due to the investment USF has done in me, I'm now able to contribute significantly to my field. My graduate experience has given me a platform, it's given me a voice, and it's given me the ability to think critically and problem solve. So I'm not just talking about the problems that are happening in the world, but I'm actually doing something about it. I love that USF is innovative. A lot of universities are kind of stuck in their own ways, and tradition is really valuable. I know at USF we love tradition, but we also really value innovation. And I feel like you want to be in a place that is naturally geared towards fostering ideas, towards pushing the boundaries, being forward thinking and thinking about the future, because we are supposed to be training to become leaders of tomorrow. So why not be in a place that fosters that kind of thinking?
Just one of thousands of inspirational stories that our graduate students and undergraduate students deliver to us each year. Faculty success, defined by the impact you have on student mentoring and learning, along with research, scholarship, and creative activity, will, in large part, accelerate USF's ascent and strengthen our national and global reputation and rankings. This year, USF was ranked 4th worldwide, behind the University of Michigan, Washington University in St. Louis, and UC Davis. There's a theme here, I think, for the number of fellows of the American Association for the Advancement of Science. Today, we have 66 AAAS fellows on faculty including our president. While USF faculty, supported by the Office of Research and Innovation, continue to earn prestigious national awards, we still have much work to do to land honors that the AAU deems to be highly prestigious, such as Guggenheim Fellows, MacArthur Fellows, American Council of Learned Society Fellows, Fields Medalists, and yes, Nobel Prize winners. Even still, the number of National Academy members calling USF home continues to climb. Recognizing the apparent volatility of citation impact, an important measure of the USF faculty's influence on their field of scholarly and scientific endeavor, we will take this head-on during upcoming deliberations of the Faculty Success Strategic Initiatives Workgroup. Meantime, customary measures of productivity and research and innovation continue to trend upward, including total and federal R&D expenditures, where the colleges of behavioral and community sciences, business, education, engineering, global sustainability, marine science, pharmacy, and medicine, along with USF St. Petersburg and USF Sarasota Manatee, are to be commended for increasing the amount of their research awards year over year. With regard to tech transfer, the number of utility patents awarded, licenses and options executed, and startup companies are all showing pleasing progress. Today, USF ranks first in Florida, 7th in the nation, and 16th worldwide among public universities for US patents granted. As you heard me announce earlier, our endowment reached an all-time high as of June 30th of this year at, and I have to repeat, $513,544,652. And as you can see, our alumni giving rate is rebounding. The story that I've been telling has resulted in an elevation of USF's institutional reputation and rankings, both nationally and globally. Today, we are ranked in the top 50 US public universities in 4 of the rankings recognized by the Florida Board of Governors. And we find ourselves on the cusp of the top 50 in 4 others. In summary, we have so very, very much to be proud of. For, as Holden Thorpe, the former chancellor of UNC Chapel Hill and now provost at Wash U in St. Louis, was quoted in the Chronicle of Higher Education early this year, it's the University of South Floridas of the world that are the real game changers for students and their communities. While ensuring that USF maintains its high level of performance in statewide preeminence and PBF metrics, we also have a broader vision and responsibility for lifting Florida onto the national and global stages. It was a thrill to witness USF's first class of deserving students inducted into Phi Beta Kappa's ETA chapter in the spring of this year. At a time so often characterized by ambiguity, uncertainty, complexity, volatility, and even anti-intellectualism, both at home and abroad, it was important for us to be reminded of the society's core values, values that we embrace in the academy: freedom of thought, of inquiry, and of expression as we continue our search for the truth. Indeed, A liberal education, and I'm not speaking of one colored by any particular political ideology, is and must remain at the very heart of all we value. An education wherein students are liberated and encouraged to challenge long-held assumptions and to confront difficult issues. While today some question the relevance of the liberal arts, I encourage you to explore the pages of sense-making, the fuzzy and the techie, and You Can Do Anything, the surprising power of a useless liberal arts education. For it is clear that we have a responsibility to ensure that our students graduate with more than just technical skills, rather with the broad knowledge and well-honed competencies to adapt to an ever-changing global future. USF's commitment to global engagement is well recognized, so it may come as little surprise that, as you heard earlier, we were named the nation's top producer of US Fulbright scholars for the second time in 3 years, with 12 of our colleagues traveling to such far-flung destinations as Austria, Belarus, Ethiopia, India, Japan, Kosovo, Morocco, Panama, Poland, Slovenia, and Taiwan. At this point, I'd like to acknowledge John Bader, who is with us on campus today. John, if you would stand up, please. A former Fulbright scholar and dean at Johns Hopkins, John now serves as executive director of the Fulbright Association, supporting Fulbright alumni across the United States. Welcome. Furthermore, and earlier this year, USF received the Institute for International Education's 2019 High School Award for Innovation in International Education for, I say proudly, access and equity in education abroad. And once more, ranks among the top 10 universities in the nation for producing Peace Corps volunteers. Indeed, our students have also carried the USF flag around the world, including 55 Benjamin Gilman International Scholars, placing us among the nation's leading institutions. 11 student Fulbrights include 2 highly competitive UK Summer Institute Awards, 3 Boren Awards, 2 Goldwaters, and 1 Gates Cambridge Scholar. Overall, the USF Office of National Scholarships registered 82 competitive awards in the academic year 2018-19. Finally, USF capped off a quite remarkable year by being named recipient of the 2019 American Council on Education Fidelity Investments Award for Institutional Transformation. In short, the last year was a banner year for USF, yet we're not done as we plan to further accelerate our ascent in both national and global contexts. Now there's a familiar refrain. In the coming weeks and months, you'll be hearing much more about US News and World Report rankings of the nation's best colleges. As President Corral mentioned in his opening remarks, USF's trajectory has been unmatched by national universities, public or private, since 2019, having risen from number 94 among publics to number 58 last year, and we expect that rise to continue. To be clear, we're not chasing rankings for the sake of it. You can see that there is a strong alignment between US News and World Report rankings and membership in the Association of American Universities. 21 of the top 25 US News and World Report public universities are members of the AAU. And so we believe that the pursuit of a top 25 ranking will both advance and strengthen our passage toward AAU eligibility. While attention to US News and World Report's 16 metrics will add another layer of complexity to our planning and performance accountability matrix, it's notable that we are already competitive with the average public AAU performance on 7 of the measures, while there remains considerable room for improvement with the other 9, some of which, I regret to say, we can have little influence over and are directly related to the adequacy of financial resources. Interestingly, I have long considered USF's readiness to acknowledge and address its weaknesses as one of its greatest strengths. Of course, academic excellence remains at the heart of all we do, and that begins with becoming a destination for the best and the brightest minds, curious, hungry, and talented students and world-class faculty. In spite of unprecedented gains in undergraduate student success, our work is far from complete. Just last year, we were reminded by a story in Washington Monthly that people are watching and wanting to learn from us. While our gains have been impressive, and we should assuredly take time to celebrate our wins, we must also ask ourselves why 1 in 4 freshmen is still not graduating in 6 years, and why men are so significantly lagging the graduation rates of women. A challenge not just for the University of South Florida, but for higher education in general. In the coming year, we will embark upon a comprehensive audit of our undergraduate curricula, examining the structural complexity of our degree plans to ensure that we provide all undergraduate students with an intellectually rigorous, yet simplified, clear, and coherent 8-semester pathway to graduation. We will further our efforts to integrate HIPS, or high-impact practices, into our curriculum, and to identify and eliminate barriers to progress, including better understanding the pressures facing students at USF today. Recently, we've joined with 129 other universities in Powered by Publics, Scaling Student Success, an initiative sponsored by the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities, APLU. Structured around 16 transformation clusters, USF will partner with Buffalo, Stony Brook, Missouri, and others in taking on the important challenge of improving male student success. In recognizing that our location in the Tampa Bay region provides a distinct competitive advantage for us, and that employers are telling us today it's less about the major or the brand, but a growing focus on knowledge, experiences, and skills, USF's Office of Career Services has launched Infinite Combinations, a career readiness badging program shaped around the 8 essential skills framed by the National Association of Colleges and Employers. Not surprisingly, we've seen participation skyrocket in fact, from 130 students in our first pilot just 18 months ago to nearly 1,500 students last spring, and an anticipated 5,000 students enrolled this fall. The most recent freshman survey published by the Chronicle of Higher Education earlier this week revealed that 85% of undergraduate students identified being able to get a better job as the leading reason for attending college today. We recognize that placement in high-need, high-skilled, and high-paid jobs is a top priority for those graduates who are not immediately moving on to graduate or professional schools. Today, I'm sorry to say, less than 50% of USF students have logged in to Handshake, which is our career community, and only 35% of students have completed a profile, while 8,500 users, including USF alumni, have uploaded their resumes. As you can see, we can and must do better with Handshake if we're to achieve our goal of a 100% adoption rate. Then we need your help as faculty members and advisors to encourage our students to activate their account in advance of entering the workforce. While we will maintain our focus on improving the undergraduate student experience at USF, so too will graduate and professional student success, faculty success, and the need to build a digital ecosystem engage our best strategic thinking in the months to come. Finally, we are not done with reimagining summer at USF. This is a conversation that we've struggled with, but as more and more students seek an accelerated path to graduation, we must be prepared to meet their year-round educational needs. To that end, we will continue the work already underway, and we will explore the feasibility of introducing a Freshman Summer Institute in 2020, providing new students with a successful launchpad to their future at USF. Guided by Florida statutes, SAC-COC Principles of Accreditation, and the BOT-approved Principles for Consolidation, we are continuing to shape one university geographically distributed in advance of July 1, 2020. While challenging on any number of fronts, I'm confident that the unification of our three campuses will serve to strengthen USF, while providing our students with even greater access to a preeminent education, our faculty with new opportunities for collaboration in research, scholarly and creative activities, and our communities with the benefits our university will bring to economic growth and societal enrichment across the Tampa Bay region. As our new university takes shape, I urge you to remember that words matter, as collegiality and respect for others must guide us in building a unified community. Our job is not easy, and while we've checked off a number of critical tasks, including unified admissions, curriculum alignment, and a single set of tenure and promotion guidelines, some hard decisions lay ahead. I've met with faculty on all campuses, and quite understandably, it has become clear to me that you have much on your minds with regard to consolidation. I've shared my principled commitment to equity of assignment, equity of support, equity of performance accountability, and, over time, equity of reward and compensation, the bases for one faculty in one university. Presently, And consistent with university policy, the USF System Faculty Council is reviewing the lengthy consultative process and the resulting proposed academic and student success leadership structure with regard to impact on faculty. As our work toward consolidation accreditation continues on schedule, you can follow the progress of the Academic Steering Committee's work on the freshly redesigned Provost website. I've been waiting for that fresh redesign for far longer than I want to share. Again, throughout this planning process for one university geographically distributed, I urge you to remain focused on our students' needs and your scholarly activities, each essential ingredients in accelerating USF's ascent. For many of you, my unceasing focus on sharpening a culture of accountability at USF is nothing new, and it will continue. Yet I feel deeply that striking the right balance with a culture of care will be essential to continuing our upward trajectory. At a time characterized by rapid and significant change, caring for yourselves and for others will, in many ways, help define the new USF. It is perhaps unsurprising, then, that a number of AAU institutions, including Indiana, Iowa State, Michigan, Case Western, Rice, and the University of Florida, have come to recognize the importance of building a culture of care on their campuses. Fostering a university community characterized by respect and responsibility for self and others, trust and compassion will be essential to striking a healthy balance between accountability and care. To be clear, it's not about one or the other, for they are not mutually exclusive, and this isn't to suggest we don't already care. In this regard, we look forward to hearing more from President Corral about his expectations of the task force on the principles of community. As if we don't already have a full enough plate, we must remain focused on the broader opportunities and challenges impacting higher education in the world today. Liz McMillan, executive editor of Chronicle Intelligence, stated it all too well last month when she wrote, "The challenges facing higher education, financial, demographic, cultural, have rarely been as daunting or as complex as they are today." Welcome to the university. Like you, I continue to believe that an investment in higher education can yield unparalleled returns. And apparently 90% of families agree in a recent Sallie Mae survey on how America values college. Whether personal, such as better health outcomes, higher work satisfaction and life expectancy, financial through lifetime earnings, cultural and or political through contributing to an educated citizenry, or economic by providing a boost to state and local economics and adding to America's global competitiveness. The high return on a college investment is well documented. If you doubt the transformational potential of education and the raw power of human resilience, I urge you to settle in to Hillbilly Elegy, Educated, or How to Raise Successful People. As something of a bibliophile, I can assure you, you will not be disappointed. Nevertheless, public critique of higher education persists as we witness the continuing erosion of public trust in our universities brought about by skyrocketing costs, student debt, limitations on free speech, and the assertion by some that college graduates are ill-prepared for the contemporary global workplace. But is it all gloom and doom? Even as elected officials trumpet our shortcomings, there is no lack of suggestions for adapting the academy to meet the needs of today's students, parents, and employers. There's no doubt that climbing tuition sticker prices and student debt, which stands today at an estimated $1.6 trillion, are the reasons for so much hostility toward higher education. Yet, this is just not the case at the University of South Florida. Once more, the average net cost of tuition and fees for a USF baccalaureate graduate is $7,130, and that's over a 4-year period, with average salaries 1 year after graduating standing at $38,000. To that end, we should be proud of the role we are beginning to play in the social mobility of USF alums. We've accomplished this by holding tuition and fees low. Okay, so that wasn't our choice. But by graduating students at a faster rate and without excess hours, awarding more financial aid with the support of the Florida legislature and the US Congress, and managing textbook costs. Through our incredibly successful and multifaceted TAP initiative, we've reduced the per credit hour textbook cost to $27, well below the national average of $42, saving our students an estimated $20.3 million in textbook costs. Of course, we know that room and board, transportation, and other elements must be factored into the cost of attending college, expenses that continue to present a challenge to many students and their families. Faced with competing priorities, homelessness and food insecurity are growing problems in American higher education today. Research suggests that 10 to 15% of college students experience homelessness, with an additional 20 to 30% having experienced housing insecurity while attending college. Food and housing insecurity often overlap, with more and more students submitting Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, SNAP, or food stamps applications today. It's a broader humanitarian as well as a student success issue, and it's a priority for our student leadership at USF, with whom I'm committed to working with to better understand the scope of the problem and to seek meaningful solutions for our students. Today, 2.4 million Floridians owe $85.5 billion in student debt, and the numbers are growing daily. Yet, there's good news for USF graduates. The percentage of USF baccalaureate students graduating with debt has dropped from 62 to 52% over the past 5 years, with the average student debt falling 11% from an all-time high of more than $24,000 to less than $22,000, well below the national data of 70% and $28,000. At the same time, the default rate of USF graduates repaying federal loans has dropped dramatically from a high of 10% to just 1.2% today, considerably lower than the average rate for four-year public universities, which stands at about 7%. Much of the improvement at USF can be attributed to our Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid Services, and specifically to the Bull to Bull peer financial literacy program that was recently ranked number 7 among the nation's top 50 financial aid counseling programs. As you may know, enrollment for the coming semester appears to be rather, shall we say, robust. This includes rather significant, yet to some extent unanticipated, increases in freshmen and graduate students. As many universities across the country struggle to meet their enrollment goals, we cannot take our position for granted. We know, for instance, that Gen Zers expect something quite different from their university experience than that which so many of us can identify with. We must at one be responsive to their changing needs while working to strengthen the intellectual rigor associated with a USF education. A USF education, of course, means that students, both undergraduate and graduate, readily and regularly engage with their professors in discovery and seeking innovative solutions to complex problems that continue to confound us today. As a comprehensive research university, we expect our colleges to promote scholarship, research, and creative activity that aligns with the state university system's research plan, framed around the themes of healthy Florida, secure Florida, and prosperous Florida. USF is well positioned to contribute to the state's research goals through multi, inter, and transdisciplinary collaborations around the ocean, water, resilience, sustainability, energy, public health, and the environment, including sea level rise, extreme weather events, and red tide, and through heart health, medical engineering, the arts and humanities, data science, analytics, artificial intelligence, and cybersecurity, along with the brain and neuroscience. It is our responsibility, and this will be particularly important with consolidation, to build effective mechanisms to promote even greater convergence in research, allowing, if you will, constructive collisions across disciplines around big issues of global consequence. For, as Darcy Wentworth Thompson, a Scottish biologist, mathematician, and classic scholar, suggested well over a century ago, if you dream of future discoveries and inventions, let me tell you that the fertile field of discovery lies, for the most part, on those borderlands where one science meets another. As I draw to a close, it's often been suggested that USF's relative youth, coupled with our embrace of an entrepreneurial spirit, has been the difference maker in our rapid ascent. Certainly, institutional agility and willingness to take calculated risks or the path less traveled, and to learn from our mistakes has provided us with something of a competitive advantage in the higher education sector. And so it may seem a little strange that I recommend as an easy read, Permission to Screw Up, a book written by a former University of Florida student who embodies all the traits of a gritty, courageous, and tenacious bull in starting her own company, all while acknowledging the hard lessons she learned in leadership. While earlier this week, the Chronicle of Higher Education Almanac listed USF Tampa as the 20th largest university in the country, sandwiched between UCLA, Arizona, Indiana, and Wisconsin, Purdue, and UC Berkeley, you should know that we remain committed to our strategic path of getting better better, not bigger, and embrace the challenge of accelerating our trajectory to even greater heights of academic excellence in the years to come. It remains my sincere pleasure and privilege, as it has for the past 12 years, to serve our faculty, and I would appreciate you letting me know how we can do better, since it is your success, and by extension, the success of our students, that is the secret to accelerating our ascent. In closing, it is important for us to remember what President Corral shared with the nearly 3,200 graduands at USF summer commencement earlier this month. He said, "I came here for many of the same reasons that you did. This is a university in motion. It attracts the courageous, the bold, the dreamers, those who believe that the future holds opportunities yet to be realized.